Hello everybody, and today we are doing What If Deku Had a Lightning Quirk, Part 2. Once again, this is Part 2, our 1,000 subscriber special. I can't thank you guys enough. I honestly can't. Most YouTubers, it takes them approximately a year or two. Me? It took only 6 months, and this is a very small community. It's not even something like gaming or a popular game. This is what ifs on an anime, and not many people watch what ifs on their favorite anime, even though they should. They should subscribe, like, and make sure their two friends know. Anyway, on to this great video. Okay, guys, so we continue the story off right as the students unload off of the bus to get into the USJ, the Unforeseen Simulation Joint. And Aizawa introduces them to Rescue Hero, Space Hero 13. And she says, "Welcome, students, to the Unforeseen Simulation Joint, or USJ for short." And then she starts explaining the rules as all of them slowly walk down the pathway leading to the massive USJ location. And when they all eventually enter the doors of the USJ, they're all astonished with how diverse and huge the place is. Izuku looks down at the stairs like, "Oh, there's like everywhere. There's a frozen location. There's even rocky. There's fire. This is so cool." As Kirishima's like, "You're right, Izuku." "Izuku, what's that?" As Izuku's like, "I don't know, actually." As Aizawa was like, "What are you two kids talking about?" As Izuku points down at the purple thing in the middle. As Aizawa was like, "That's not in the plan for the lesson." As a man peers through the portal and grins mildly. Izuku's like, "Is that a villain?" As 13 looks over there immediately. And Toga's like, "I think it is, Izuku." As Izuku gets a lightning bolt in his hand and throws it down at the portal. And the portal quickly expands and eats the entire lightning bolt. And Izuku's like, "What the? Impossible." As after most of the villains have walked out, they see this creature with its brain exposed, and it looks like a monster, and with big bulging muscles. Izuku is quite intimidated by it, as Bakugo hits him in the side like, "What the heck?" As Bakugo's like, "Don't be intimidated. Just because it's big doesn't mean it's strong." Little do they know. That would be a horrible misjudgment. Okay, so down at Shigaraki's place. No, where Shigaraki is. He looks to Kirigiri. "Kirigiri, I want you to split up all the students and send all the fodder to their location. We can destroy All Might's pride if he isn't here after all. We'll just kill his students. That'll damage him, knowing he could have done something to save them, but he didn't." As Kirigiri looks to him, Wow, master. It seems you're learning from All for One. Well, Shigaraki, shall we commence the operation?" As Shigaraki's like, "Go, Kirigiri." As Kirigiri flies towards the students, as Aizawa at the same time jumps down to fight all the villains. As when Aizawa's going down all the stairs, Izuku yells to him, "Do you want us to help?" As Aizawa's like, "If you have a range quirk, yes." As Izuku gets tons of lightning bolts in his hand and starts throwing them down. And Bakugo looks over to Kirigiri, who is coming up the stairs, and puts his hand out in front of him and makes a circle with his other hand and puts it in front of the hand that was already spread out and says, "Eat this, villain," as he yells, "Armor-piercing shot," as the blast was coming towards Kirigiri as Kirigiri sees it coming towards him as Kirigiri thinks, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing, as it hits the neck brace on him. And Kirigiri screams in agony like, ah, how dare you? As a portal appears under Bakugo, and it drops him up in the sky down towards the evacuation portion of the USJ. And Izuku's like, Kachan! Himiko, do you have his blood? As Himiko's like, of course I do, Izuku. As she turns into Bakugo and grabs onto the neck brace and starts exploding it. And Kirigiri's like, you pest! As he quickly shakes off Himiko. And as Kirigiri goes to put a warp hole under Himiko, who he thought was Bakugo still, Izuku makes a massive ball of electricity in his hands and sends it towards Kirigiri, quickly electrocuting the villain very much. As Ida then jumps over all of the class and kicks the villain's neck brace, as Kirigiri quickly teleports back to Shigaraki, who had just summoned the Nomu to help him against Aizawa. And Aizawa was being pinned to the ground and brutally beaten by the Nomu. As Kirigiri's like, I'm sorry, Shigaraki, I couldn't defeat the students. They clearly all know my weakness somehow. Perhaps there was something amiss. As Shigaraki's, no, Kirigiri, it's actually quite obvious. After all, why would you have a random neck brace under all that? As Kirigiri's like, smart, Master Shigaraki. Well, what would you like me to do? And Shigaraki says, just make one massive warp gate under the entire class. As Kirigiri immediately blitzes towards all the students. As Izuku's like, get ready! As he gets a massive lightning bolt from a thundercloud he made and says, eat this, scum! As he throws it down and hurls it at the villain. As Kirigiri's just eats it basically with his portal. And it actually makes a portal behind 13 and it strikes her. And Kirigiri then laughs maniacally as 13 falls to the ground, screaming in pain. As Izuku's like, 13! As Kirigiri is quickly under the entire class. As Izuku tells everyone, get onto something solid. He's trying to warp us all. As everyone quickly tries to get out of there. Not even Ida could escape. As everyone starts being warped, some people actually aren't warped, like Ida and a couple other students. And obviously all the troublesome ones were warped away. As Izuku is sent through his gate, he is dropped around where he sees a cruise ship and water. As Izuku is like, yes, this works out. As he starts making a thundercloud far under him. So right above the water, he hits the fluffy cloud and quickly raises it up. As he's like, okay, I think I know what to do here. As he shouts towards the water, any heroes in there? As Suyu quickly grabs Mineta and throws him onto the boat. And Izuku's like, okay, that's good to know. As he makes a massive a lightning bolt in his hands and then materializes it into a gun and is like, this'll work perfectly, as he starts shooting it. And the villain's just watching and is like, this fool, as the massive bullet hits the ocean, well, the sea. And they're like, what's that gonna do? As little did they know, it shot a massive battery. And all of them were suddenly electrocuted. And as all of them were being electrocuted and dying, Ezekiel grabbed both of his classmates onto the cloud and he's like, you two okay? As Suyi is like, yeah, mate, it still kind of stung us. As Ezekiel's like, oh, that's fine. As the lightning quickly dissipates after all that, and all the villains are quickly dropping into the water. As Izuki's like, okay, let's get back to that warp, man. As he quickly drops both of them off at the stairs, and Izuku then meets Kirigiri at the top, like, you remember me, Warp Man? As he makes a massive bolt of electricity. He says, let's go, one-on-one. As he starts shooting lightning bolts at him. As Denki looks up to see Izuku over there, like, how did he already get back? Whatever. I'm not gonna let him show me up, as Kaminari, who was basically hostage, gets his brain back and electrocutes the villain, but just not nearly making his brain fry. As Jiro's like, smart, dummy. Okay, we need to get back without going to that thing, as she points towards the Nomu. Anyway, as Izuku is occupying the villain, Ida Tenya quickly and swiftly gets out of the USJ building and blitzes towards what's it called? He blitzes towards UA, and along the path, he eventually finds the high school. And when he gets in there, he immediately goes towards the principal's office and finds All Might and Nezu. As All Might's like, what is it, Ida? As Ida's like, in the USJ, there's a villain attack. As All Might's like, understood. As Nezu's like, I'll call for backup. As All Might immediately blitzes towards the USJ, a lot faster than Ida, obviously. When he arrives there, he quickly makes an entrance and says, who's hurting my students? As Kirigiri's like, there's our final boss, Shigaraki. And Shigaraki is like, Nomu, attack the symbol of peace. As they quickly start brawling. As Izuku, seeing Kirigiri retreating back to there, quickly waits for All Might to eventually defeat the Nomu. And as he's waiting there, he sees All Might punch the Nomu in the gut, sending him far into the air and breaking through one of the windows of the USJ and sending him flying across the sky, not even able to see anymore. As Izuku's like, amazing. The power of the number one is excruciating. As he looks over to All Might, who's now steaming a lot, Izuku's like, oh, this is where I can help. As Shigaraki's like, we've got the final boss right in front of us, Kirigiri. Attack. As Izuku's like, I can't let this happen. As he makes a shuriken in his hand and says, electrocution, retribution. As he sends it hurling towards Shigaraki's neck, and Shigaraki stops, like, what is that? As his neck is, his head is nearly cut off by the shuriken, and a massive flesh wound on his neck as Shigaraki falls to the ground, like, Gary, help, as he quickly falls unconscious. Anyway, Izuku, being happy with this, is like, I did it. As Kirigiri looks to him like, you brat. As Izuku is quickly put in a portal. As he's like, okay, where am I going this time? As he's teleported to where the Nomu was. Izuku's like, no. As the Nomu looks at him and smiles creepily. As Izuku gets on his cloud and flies as high up as he can and as far as he can, eventually seeing the USJ. As he sees the Nomu get ready to jump, Izuku's like, crap, as Izuku sends so many lightning bolts he can't even count all of them, as he says, Thunder God, lightning bolt of destiny, as he then shouts, Zeus, give me your power, as a massive lightning bolt comes down from the sky, as a massive lightning bolt in his hands, like, this will destroy you, you beast. As with all the power he can muster, he throws it as far as he can, and he hears a shriek in the distance as he sees the Nomu come as very high up to him, but the lightning bolt immediately slaps him down, and it completely eradicates the Nomu, and there's nothing left. No regeneration can save him from that. As Izuku flies back into the USJ, but he gets to the top where his classmates were waiting, as All Might and everybody had already finished the situation. And Ochako's like, oh, Izuku, I'm so happy you're safe. As Himiko's also like, oh, Izuku, I was so worried about you. As Ochako's like, butt out Toga. As Himiko pushes her like, he's mine. As Izuku's confused, like, what? Okay. As he walks away, as both of the girls chase after him. Anyway, the next day, Izuku and his entire class are introduced to the UA Sports Festival by their teacher, Aizawa, who is very much bandaged. Izuku, thinking about it, is like, even after all, I don't know if I can use my quirk for a little. As he looks over to his arm, which is heavily scarred because, that was the arm he threw the lightning bolt with. And Izuku then looks to it like, I just realized it's very hurt. As he then walks over to Recovery Girl's office after school and gets a massive surgery. And the next time he saw his classmates was at the sports festival. And he arrived there very much bandaged with his arm. So eventually, when he walked out with his class, everyone was happy because, their friend Izuku cried. Anyway, Izuku was happy to be there also. And when Bakugo was asked to do the pledge, and once everyone had heard it and started booing, Izuku was completely disheartened, like, why, Bakugo? Of course it was him! Why did he have to get the most points? It's such a Bakugo thing to say. As Izuku quickly smacks him on the head after he gets off the stage, like, you idiot! Why would you say that? And, yeah. And Kaminari and Kirishima quickly pull Izuku off of him, like, I'll get you! And Bakugo's like, I'd like to see you try, nerd! And, yeah, they yell. Anyway, when Midnight spins her wheel and lands on obstacle course race. Izuku is quite happy with this, knowing he can fly the entire thing. So when she says to go, and Izuku flies over all of the students, and as he's flying away, he quickly notices in the distance that Todoroki froze most of the students. As Izuku, who's on his cloud, was quite happy, like, at least I wasn't frozen. And yeah, Izuku, eventually, as he's lying down on his very long cloud, Izuku suddenly whapped into the floor and spiked onto it by 2 0-pointers, as Izuku bloodied on his head and his right arm once again broken. Is of course, as he gets he starts making thunder and tries to electrocute the robots, and he can't do anything. And with his right arm broken, is why do I always get myself into these situations? As he makes a lightning sword and says thunder mode, as it starts becoming very much freaking out, like it's reacting to his hand and it's shaking. As Izuku's okay, let's do this, as he starts slashing at the robots. By the time he finished both robots with around 2 slashes for each of them, he sees Todoroki in the distance, and Izuku's not good, as he gets back onto his cloud and flies away quickly. And Izuku, being that hurt a lot, as his arm was wrapped in lightning to protect it. Anyway, eventually Izuku, who was now looking in front of him instead of laying down, saw that he flew right above an obstacle, which was this massive gap. As Izuku's well, that's why I have the cloud. And Izuku, eventually being very much cocky about his placement, sees Todoroki right behind him, going as fast as he humanly can. As Izuku quickly flies above all the mines, and Todoroki slams his fist in one of the mines, getting up to his eye level, and he's I'll get you, Midoriya, as he sends an ice pillar right in front of Izuku's cloud as it quickly redirects itself. And Izuku's you want to play like that, huh? As he electrocutes Todoroki and nearly paralyzes him, as Todoroki can't even move anymore. He's paralyzed from the neck down. And Izuku, being a little happy, but a little much, Izuku was happy and watches as he crosses the finishing line without touching the floor the entire time. Yeah. Okay. And yeah. Let me check. Okay. We're making good time, people. Anyway, Izuku and everybody eventually crossed the finish line. And when Midnight spun the wheel again, she got the cavalry battle. As she explains the rules, Izuku will have the same team as... No, he won't. His team will consist of Ochaku Raka, Himiko Toga, and Hosei Denki Kaminari. Very solid team, if you ask me. So, obviously, Kaminari is switched out with Tokoyami for Todoroki's team. And Hatsume is switched out with Toga. No, Hatsume's not... they're not swapping. Himiko's just in her place. Hatsume's with someone else. We'll say Shoji, for example. Anyway, Izuku, now being very, very scared because he has the 1 million points, obviously, and everyone's after him. So when Midnight says to start, everyone immediately goes for Izuku. As Izuku says, Kaminari, are you resistant to electricity? As Kaminari's like, nope, not at all. Okay, guys, so continuing off, my phone turned off. It stopped recording because my phone turned off. Anyway, we continue it off. Just assume, guys, he won the cavalry battle. That's what you were going to get from that. Anyway, as in the anime, instead, Izuku, being a very much more social person, doesn't take his friend Ojiro's advice. And when Shinzo pops a question, Izuku, being ready to electrocute himself just in case anything were to happen, and Ojiro was actually right, as Shinzo's like, how's it feel to have such a great quirk in this stupid world? As Izuku's like, how dare... As he quickly tenses up, and he also electrocutes himself on contact also. And he quickly snaps back like, what just happened? As Shinzo's like, interesting. So you can change yourself out. As Izuku gets ready to electrocute him again. And how it works, guys, is if Izuku lets his fingers out of a specific position, the electricity will quickly electrocute him, obviously. Anyway, Izuku, knowing how to beat Shinzo, is like, okay, good to know he was right. As he gets 2 bolts of electricity in his hands and says, are you ready? As he quickly throws one at Shinzo and throws one up in the air. As Shinzo quickly dodges one, and he's like, I think I've lost. As Izuku throws Shinzo up into the air, thinking he must have something else to his quirk. Maybe it's like a mind control, except he's got like very good defense, like maybe a second quirk. Nope, Izuku throws him straight into the lightning bolt, immediately electrocuting him and sending him unconscious, and now he's really hurt and burned. 3rd degree. As you'd imagine, a lightning bolt does not feel the best. Anyway, Izuku obviously beat Shinzo, who could have imagined. Anyway, we go into the Todoroki battle. And when Midnight says to start, Izuku is like, well, thunder versus ice. This should be a very one-sided affair, as Izuku flies up into the sky and says, the gods approach, as a massive cloud forms over the entire arena. Izuku then flies above the cloud and makes a window for himself and says, bye-bye, as massive bolts of lightning strike at Todoroki. And Todoroki, trying to use his ice to cover himself, nope, it cuts right through that. Izuku has just... He does not know how Todoroki's still alive, as he's hit with bolt after bolt, and Midnight immediately calls off the match, seeing Todoroki blasted with bolt after bolt, as Izuku quickly drops back down and ends the ultimate move, as he's like, that was a bit overboard. As Midnight smacks him like, overboard, you say? You could have killed him, as he sees Todoroki completely unconscious, nearly dead. I mean, guys, it was like eight lightning bolts. No normal person survives that. Todoroki barely survives it. I mean, he has training, I guess. He's very used to being beaten. Anyway, Izuku, being declared as the winner, goes on to the next round. He beats Ida easily, are we even going to fight that? I mean, it's speed, and then there's lightning. Just electrocute the man. Anyway, when Bakugo and Izuku square up, and Midnight says start, Bakugo immediately blitzes him with explosions. And Izuku is like, perfect, as Bakugo's like, what do you mean perfect? As he looks down to see a spider web like thing under his feet. And the arena suddenly shrinks right at that spot, and he sinks into the ground as Izuku's like, bye-bye. And in this what if, guys, Izuku's a lot sadistic. And as Bakugo's like, what are you doing? As Izuku goes above him with an electricity ball and says, this is how I win. I am the strongest one here. No doubt. As he sends it down on Katsuki. As Izuku suddenly sees Bakugo spring out of the spider web and quickly dodge the electricity ball. And as Bakugo's in the air, he's like, perfect. Howitzer impact. As he starts flying down at Izuku. And Izuku's like, this is not good. As he makes a wall of electricity in front of him and tries to block with his arms, but is met with one massive explosion. And Izuku, trying to make anything to support behind him, sends massive bolts of electricity behind him and one at Bakugo's face. And Izuku, being flown out of the arena, but landing on his best favorite cloud, and then Bakugo being hit in the face with the electricity bolt, quickly takes it to the face and lands on nearly the outside of the arena, as Bakugo gets up from the edge and says, you twat, as Izuku's like, ultimate move, speed, as his entire body becomes electrified with electricity, as he says, I'll be taking a little page from your book, Ida, as he gets a sword made out of electricity in his hand and says, overdrive, as he goes super fast with his electricity and cuts Bakugo on the back of the neck and kicks him up into the air and says, Pokemon was always one of my favorite, as he claps his hands together and says, Thunderbolt, as Bakugo is electrocuted in midair, and Izuku, as Bakugo is falling down to the ground, kicks him into the outside of the arena, just before saying, you forget something, as he kicks him back into the arena and says, I'm not done yet, as he gets a knife made out of electricity and says, I'm going to make this as fun as I want to, as Izuku cuts Bakugo on the chest and says, just kidding, as he throws him out of the arena. Yeah. Midnight, being now terrified of this child, this very sadistic somehow hero child, he needs cleansing, guys. Izuku was crowned first place of the UA Sports Festival. Yeah. Anyway, Izuku, now being quite happy, the next day, Aizawa revealed everybody's offers. Izuku, quite obviously, with the most. No, just kidding. He didn't have much. Because they saw how terrifying he was when he hurts you. It's like his pain boner. Yeah. So, yeah, he's just very sadistic. So, he did get an offer from Endeavor because Endeavor does not care how bad you are. He just wants the power. And yeah. And, Izuku will go to Endeavor, obviously. Anyway, when we no, okay, I almost forgot. Hero names. Izuku was carefully deciding. He was looking between his two options, like, I'm going to go for light or speed. I don't know what to do. As he set a wire connects in his head. Lightning bulb. Light bulb. He goes up to the podium and shows his name. Light speed. And yeah, that's his hero name. Oh geez, 37 minutes. This is already longer than the part 1. Pog. Anyway, everyone really likes his name because it's a Pog name, Lightspeed. Anyway, when Izuku arrives 2 days later at the Endeavor Agency, with his hero costume being yellow and black, because yeah, it's kind of like Kaminari's, but not. Izuku meeting Endeavor, like, I hope we can work together good. As Endeavor's like, I'll be focusing a lot on Todoroki, aka Shoto, your classmate, also my son. My sidekicks will be training all of you. I hope we can all have the best of growth. And maybe you can eventually all become my sidekicks if you'd really want to. I don't care. I'm only here, after all, to train my son. Well, I'll be in the other room. Except, as he snaps at Izuku, I want to train you too, kid. As Izuku quickly follows them in. As Endeavor's like, you beat my son. I can beat my son. I want to see who can beat each other. As Izuku grows a very sinister smirk and says, with pleasure. As Endeavor sends a fireball at Izuku. And Izuku, quickly dodges it, like, that all you got, old man? As Izuku makes an electricity bow and starts shooting at Endeavor. And Endeavor just blocking it with fire. And says, it'll take a lot more than that. What the? As Izuku is electrocuting him with a little strand of electricity. But it's very much affecting Endeavor. And, Izuku is like, I found his weakness. As he was doing the strand with his left hand, and his right hand is an electricity ball. And Izuku's like, maximum power. Overdrive. Full power. As he sends it at Endeavor. As Endeavor's like, I can't move. As he's struck with the lightning ball and falls onto the ground. Is like, what happened? As he tries to get up with his legs, but they don't move. As he's like, was I really paralyzed by that? As quickly he tries to get up with his arms. That does not work. So he gets up with his back. That works because we're not going to nearly disable Endeavor. As he gets up and says, this better be temporary, kid. As Izuku's like, don't worry. I made it so it wasn't. I mean, it is. Just kidding. As Endeavor's like, I hate you. And yeah. So for the next couple days, they do some good old training, and Shoto gets a little mad at Izuku because he can't beat Izuku because Izuku destroys him. And yeah, on the last day, Endeavor, Izuku, and Shoto are out on patrol. When Izuku looks to Todoroki like, what's that? As he looks to his phone, as Todoroki's like, I think that's Ida's location. Why? As Izuku's like, remember when Ida quickly ran off after the battle? As Todoroki's like, yeah, what about it? His brother. As both Izuku and Todoroki quickly ran to Ida's support. As Endeavor's like, where are you two going? As Izuku's like, to save a friend. Meet up with us at this location, as he quickly texts it to Endeavor. And Endeavor's like, understood, as he quickly goes to the Nomus. And Izuku and Todoroki meet Ida in the back alley, being stabbed by Stain. And Izuku's like, your kind of people don't deserve to be on this earth. As Stain's like, what did you say, kid? You fake. You can't be a real one. Only All Might has that title. As Izuku's like, okay, most people would leave you here, Ida. But, me and Todoroki will fix your mistake. As Stain's like, big words for someone who definitely can't beat me. As Izuku's like, who said I was here? As Stain's like, what do you mean? As he's quickly stabbed from behind and piercing his chest, he looks behind to see Izuku in his speed mode. And Izuku's like, pro hero, light speed. They call me that for a reason, As Ida's like, how is he that fast? I couldn't even see him. As Izuku's like, my quirk is lightning. Electricity? Whatever you want to call it. Well, I could do many things with it. I can be as fast as it, too. As Stain turns around and says, you think one knife's gonna kill me? As Izuku's like, oh, you thought that was one? My bad. There's actually 30. As Stain gets a mirror and quickly looks behind him and says, how? And Izuku's like, light speed. As Ida's like, what? As Izuku watches Stain quickly drops to the floor. And Izuku's like, that was fun. As Todoroki's like, your mood swings scare me. We're at 45 minutes, ladies and gents. I might have to restart the hour-long loop. It'll be a first time. Anyway, when Endeavor arrives at the scene to see Izuku and Todoroki have saved Ida, thank the Lords, Endeavor didn't have to experience what he saw. Anyway, yeah. So, when everyone arrives back the next day, they all meet Ida in the hospital. And yeah, as Ida apologizes to Izuku and Todoroki about the trouble and that they shouldn't have even been there. That was his business and he should have died that day. They say it's no problem. And yeah, so I'm not gonna go into doing the hero license because, small brain, I don't know it much. I'm sorry. I do know it, it's just no. You guys understand, I hope. Anyway, final exams go the exact same. Literally. It's just Izuku is stronger. Yeah. And, instead of running when he hits All Might, instead of watching All Might smoke, basically, Izuku electrocutes him as much as he can and kicks him into a building. Nothing wrong with that. And yeah. So, everybody. If I want to finish this today, I just realized this will be around an hour and a half. I don't care. Anyway, Izuku, being very excited, for the summer training camp. Oh, yeah. Everything happens as usual, guys. We'll just skip all the way. There will be lots of skipping because I want to see if I can cut this maybe just under an hour. It'd be nice. Yeah, we sim all the way to when Izuku meets the wild pussycats, and the entire class gets off the bus, and Izuku's like, "What took you guys so long?" As they all look to him like, "What do you mean so long?" As Izuku's like, "Well, I knew this is where we would stop." As the wild pussycats like, "Welcome everybody. We are the wild pussycats." And Izuku's like, they're 32, and then he is suddenly sucker punched in the face. He's like, "We're 18 in our heart, kid." And yeah, and as always, they do the forest thing. And yeah, Izuku quickly made it there in 5 minutes, having going as slow as he can. I mean, yeah. No, I'm going to finish it off here, guys. I'm not going to do the entire story today. We can do that for a part 3 or part 4. Yeah. Okay. So, as much as I love this series, it is quite tedious. Yeah. So, this is Itaku, the best YouTuber ever. It's not Cap. Signing off. Bye-bye. Bye.
Ophelia, you've been on my mind, girl, since the flood.